Hello, and welcome to the Observationist Daily Briefing for July 17th, 2025. Today we're tracking escalating trade tensions, significant shifts in the U.S. foreign policy, the conflict in Ukraine, and key legislative movements on Capitol Hill. Let's start with what's happening with Trump's new tariffs. President Trump just announced some massive new tariffs that are going to shake things up globally. We're talking about a 30% tariff on goods from the European Union and Mexico starting in August 1st. He's also threatening Canada with a 35% tariff hike, Brazil with 50%, and get this, he's slapping a 50% duty on copper imports from everywhere. Trump says it's about drug trafficking from Mexico and trade imbalances with EU. And he's offering a great deal. Manufacture in the U.S. and you get no tariffs. Of course, that's how tariffs work. EU is not happy. Commission President Ursula von der Leyen is talking about dialogue, and she's warning that they'll take all necessary steps to protect EU interests. That includes retaliatory tariffs on $84 billion worth of U.S. goods. We're talking cars, bourbon, you name it. EU trade ministers are calling these 30% tariffs absolutely unacceptable and warning they could essentially eliminate trade between the U.S. and the EU. Germany's car industry is sweating, and Italy is estimating they could lose 20 billion euros and nearly 120,000 jobs from just a 10% U.S. tariff. Mexico is playing it cooler. Their new president, Sheinbaum, is calling it unfair treatment but wants to negotiate with a cool head for better terms. But here's what this means for Americans. The budget lab at Yale crunched the numbers, and it is not pretty. These tariffs could raise consumer prices by 2.1% in the short term. That's like losing $2,800 in household annual income. GDP growth could drop by almost a full percentage point. Unemployment will rise, and we could see 641,000 fewer jobs by the end of 2025. Your clothes could cost 40 to 40% more. Food prices up over 4%. Many economists are expecting a recession. Let's face it, the last time we did high tariffs like this was the 1930s, and that helped bring on the Great Depression. Our take is a bit worse. The U.S. will suffer severe and dire consequences. Because the last time the U.S. raised the tariffs like this, like I mentioned, the Great Depression happened, a repeat of that depression is very possible. On another point, here's something interesting. Trump just made a deal with Vietnam that's completely different. It's a 20% tariff on Vietnamese exports, 40% on goods that get shipped through Vietnam from China, while Vietnam will give zero tariffs on U.S. imports. It's this China plus one strategy to diversify supply chains away from China. By the way, if you're enjoying this analysis, please hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help out. Now let's talk about what's happening with NATO and Ukraine. Trump has completely flipped his stance on Russia. He's threatening Moscow with steep tariffs and pumping weapons to the Ukraine again. But here's the twist. NATO allies are going to pay 100% for the weapons. That is, U.S. sells them and they'll give those weapons to Ukraine. So in other words, the United States is merely being very mercenary and playing like a normal arms supplier. We're taking massive supplies of. By the way, we are talking about massive supplies for air defense, missiles, and ammunition, all of what Ukraine needs. But we're doing it to make a profit. That's how Trump works. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte met with Trump about this plan. And Rutte is even threatening secondary sanctions on India, China, and Brazil. They keep doing business with India. Interesting, those are the BRICS nations. Meanwhile, the fighting in Ukraine continues. Russia's pounding Ukrainian cities with drones and missiles, and June saw the highest civilian casualty rate in 3 years. 232 killed, over 1,300 wounded. There's growing talk in Washington and Europe about using that $300 billion in frozen Russian assets to help Ukraine. China is still in a trade war crosshairs. The U.S. extended a tariff pause but kept rates high while negotiations continue. China just announced new licensing requirements for EV batteries and lithium technologies. They're trying to control the electric vehicle supply chain. Over in Europe, Beyond these tariff threats, the EU's dealing with high energy prices and competition from both China and the U.S. Growth forecasts are pretty weak, maybe 0.8 to 1.6%. They're also worried about what they call hybrid warfare, irregular migration from Russia and Belarus that they think is designed to destabilize frontline U.S. states, or EU states, sorry. Here on Capitol Hill, Republicans are pushing for major cuts to foreign aid. We're talking 20% cuts from current level. This could devastate USAID food programs that will hurt American farmers greatly, because they depend upon these programs to buy their crops and to basically cause the price supports process to happen. And the Democrats are calling it reckless. Trump's multi-billion-dollar spending cut packages moves close to reality, with J.D. Vance casting the tie-breaking vote in the Senate. The House advanced some crypto bills and defense spending after a standoff with GOP hardliners, and they passed a bill letting the IRS postpone tax deadlines faster than after emergencies. Plus, it eliminated the $200 federal tax on firearm suppressors. Okay, now for our daily observation. Trump's insulting, negative, and even whimsical treatment of treaties, allies, and tariffs is destroying America's reputation. For 250 years, we had dignity and honor when making treaties. For 250 years, the United States never broke a treaty or abandoned an ally. Trump abandoned the agreement with Canada that he himself signed in 2018. He's threatened to abandon our NATO allies. This loss of both honor, dignity, and prestige will affect our foreign relationships for years to come. And I think that's extremely sad. Anyway, that's the Observationist Report for July 17, 2025. Please join us on YouTube and our daily reports on world geopolitical news. And also check our deep dive videos where we take closer looks at specific issues. Our next deep dives will address, one, what China really is trying to do in the South China Sea. Two, what Russia is why Russia is doomed to lose the Ukraine war. And three, an AI war game of a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. In the comments, tell me which one you'd like to see first. Please like and subscribe here on YouTube and support us on Patreon, where you can hear more extended commentaries and our audio podcasts. Thank you very much.